Welcome to How to Lose the Weight, the podcast for women ready to stop waiting for someday and live life now. I'm your host, Holly Toscanini, and I'm here to help you break free from perfectionism, self-doubt, and the someday mindset. Together, we'll dive into real conversations about self-trust, empowerment, and living authentically. If you're ready to reconnect with your intuition and step into your power, you're in the right place. Let's lose the weight and start living fully right now. Hey friends, welcome back to How to Lose the Weight. I'm your host, Holly Toscanini, and today we're talking about something that might change how you move through the rest of this year, the self-trust rule for 2026. Stop making decisions that betray you. Here's the rule we are going to live by this year. If it costs you self-trust, it costs too much. If you've been with me for the last couple of episodes, you know we have been claiming 2026 as our year of unwaiting. We've also been unpacking why New Year's resolutions keep so many women stuck and starting over again and again. And we've talked about shifting from fix yourself energy into trust yourself energy. So today, we're going to make it even simpler. I want to give you one rule for 2026 that can sit above every other rule you've ever tried to follow. This is it. If it costs you self-trust, it costs too much. That's it. That's the rule. And in this episode, we're going to turn that from a nice sentence into a real-life decision-making tool you can actually use. We're going to talk about why you keep starting over, especially every January. We're going to talk about why New Year, New You secretly erodes your confidence. And we're going to talk about the cost of waiting to feel ready before you move forward. And finally, we're going to talk about how clarity actually comes from movement, not resolutions. And we're going to talk about how to use this 2026 rule as a filter for all decisions, goals, habits, and even future opportunities. We're also going to weave in some of the questions I've gotten from you, like, why do I keep starting over every January? And what if I don't actually need fixing? And then at the end, I'm going to share 3 simple next steps if you want more support. So if you're tired of treating every January like some kind of hard reset and you're ready for something more humane and sustainable, this one's for you. So take a breath. You don't need a new you. You need a truer relationship with you. Now, I want to start with the question so many ask in different words. Why do I keep starting over every January? You make a list, you pick your word of the year, you set the goals, buy the planner, maybe join the challenge. And then, well, life happens. You miss a day, you miss a week, you have a rough month, the routine slips, the gym bag lives in the back seat, and your journal quietly judges you from the nightstand. By February, or let's be honest, like mid-January, you're feeling like you've already failed. So you tell yourself, all right, I'll try again next week, or I'll start over on Monday, or the classic, I'll just start fresh next January. Here's what I want you to know. You're not struggling because you lack discipline or willpower. You're not struggling because you're bad at consistency. What's actually happening is this. Most New Year fresh starts are built on self-rejection. They start from, I don't like who I am right now. If I were better, I'd have this all handled and figured out. Or I just need to fix myself before I can get started. So the plan you create really isn't a partnership with yourself. It's more like a punishment, and your nervous system knows it. So the second you get tired or sick or stressed or emotionally overloaded, which let's face it is going to happen, you're a human, and your body says, nope, we're out. Not because you're weak, but because your system is trying to protect you from more pressure and shame. This is why New Year, New You keeps so many women stuck. It builds the whole year on the assumption that the current you is somehow a problem. Every time the plan collapses, that story in your head gets louder. It says, see, I can't stick to anything, or something's wrong with me, or, well, maybe next year. And that constant pattern of hope, pressure, collapse, shame, repeat, erodes your self-trust. You stop believing yourself when you say, I'm going to do this. not because you're a liar, but because the promises you're making to yourself are based on being someone you're not. So let's ask a different question. What if I don't actually need fixing? Now, this might be a confronting question, especially if you're an A+ personal development student like me. But what if you don't actually need fixing? I mean, what if the way you've been talking to yourself, the way you've been planning your life and setting goals is what's broken, not you? Think about how many times you've said things like, I just need to get my act together, or this year, I'm finally going to become the version of me who fills in the blank. If I could just fix my relationship with food, my body, my confidence, then I'd be okay. Underneath all of that is the core belief that the current me isn't acceptable, that I need a future me to save me. And that belief does something sneaky. It makes you abandon your own experience in the present moment. Your body says, I'm tired, but the plan says, too bad, push harder. Or maybe your intuition says, this just doesn't feel right, but the rule says, stop being dramatic. Or maybe your nervous system is just saying, okay, this is all too much, but that resolution says, don't quit now. Every time you override yourself in the name of a better future self, you chip away at your self-trust. So when you ask, why do I keep starting over? One honest answer is because the version of me I keep trying to become doesn't actually have my back. Here's the reframe I want to offer you. 2026 isn't the year of the new you. 2026 is the year of aligned you, aligned with your body, your intuition, your values, your actual life, not some fantasy life. And that brings us to the rule I'm going to encourage you to sort of try on this year. If it costs you self-trust, it costs too much. So let's unpack that. Think of all the different rules that you have tried to follow, like don't eat after 7 p.m., or always say yes at work, or answer all of your messages immediately, never show anger, be productive every day, or hit X steps, X workouts, X calories, whatever. Some of those may have served you at one point. I get it. But here's the litmus test for 2026. Does this rule strengthen my relationship with myself, or does it weaken it? Because if it costs you self-trust, it costs too much. Let's make that real. Self-trust erodes when you say yes while your whole body is screaming no. It happens when you stay silent when something inside you desperately wants to speak up. It also forces yourself into routines that require you to ignore your energy, your needs, and your reality. Or it makes you make decisions from a fear of being judged rather than being in alignment with your values. You promise yourself extreme changes you cannot sustainably keep. On the other hand, self-trust grows when you make small, doable commitments and then actually keep them. When you admit what's true, even if it feels a little messy at the time. Or when you let your body's signals, your body's needs actually matter. Or when you let your intuition become part of the whole decision-making process. Or even when you choose what you can actually sustain, not what just sounds impressive on paper. So instead of obsessing about, is this the right goal or habit? Is this plan good enough? Will this make me my best self? What if you start asking a different question in 2026? Will this help me trust myself more or less? That's the heart of the rule. I love something practical. So let's translate that rule into a simple decision-making tool that you can use anytime you're considering maybe a new resolution, a new habit or routine, a change in your work or relationships or health, a random request, invitation, or commitment. I want you to run that decision through 4 simple questions. You maybe write these down and stick them somewhere where you can see them. So the 2026 self-trust decision-making guideline is, if it costs you self-trust, it costs you too much. Here are the 4 questions. Question number 1, what does my body say? Check in with your actual body, not your thoughts about what you should feel. Do I feel tight? Do I feel clenched or braced? Do I feel a little more open or spacious or grounded, even if I'm nervous? If your body is screaming no, and you override it because it's a good opportunity or you don't want to let people down, You're paying with your own self-trust. So ask yourself this: am I asking my body to endure something that it's clearly protesting? If the answer is yes, it's too expensive. Question 2, what does my intuition know? Not the fear, not the overthinking, but that quiet voice. Ask yourself, if I'm really honest, what do I already know about this? Or have I had red flags before and ignored them? We probably all have. Or does this decision feel aligned with who I am becoming? Or does it feel like I'm performing some older version of me? And then ask yourself, am I pretending I don't know so I don't have to act on what I already know? If yes, it's too expensive. Question 3, what story will this teach me about myself? Imagine you say yes, or imagine you say no. And then imagine looking back in a few months and asking yourself, what will this decision teach me to believe about myself? Will it teach me things like, I can't say no, I don't matter as much as other people, my rest isn't important, I can't trust my own timing? Or will it teach me that I can hear myself and act in my own favor, that I'm someone who keeps small promises to myself? Will it teach me that I don't have to abandon myself just to belong? Ask yourself this: will this choice reinforce a story that I'm not worthy to trust myself? If the answer is yes, it's too expensive. Question 4, what's the smallest self-trusting version of this? So instead of asking, can I do this perfectly? Ask, what's the smallest version of this that still honors me? Here's some examples. Instead of, I'll meditate for 30 minutes every morning, what if I just take 3 quiet breaths before I touch my phone? Or instead of, I'm quitting my job tomorrow, what if you say, I'm going to update my resume and I'm going to reach out to one person this week just to get the ball rolling? Instead of overhauling my health, maybe I'll just schedule one checkup I've been avoiding. See, if you can shrink the action down until your body says, whew, okay, I can do this, I feel safe with this, then you're building self-trust. So ask yourself, does this version of the plan feel like I'm partnering with myself or bullying myself? Because if it feels like bullying, it's too expensive. All right, so let's try to tie all of this together. January loves to sell us an idea that clarity comes first. First, you decide your whole year, and then you set your goals. Then you become the person who does them, and then you move, right? But real life, especially in midlife, does not work like that. You don't get clarity and then move. You move, and then clarity will reveal itself. You send one email and realize, oh, well, that conversation wasn't as scary as I thought it was going to be. Or you say one honest no and realize that friendship is more resilient than you gave it credit for. Or maybe you take one walk and notice, wow, my body feels a tiny bit more like mine again. Or you try one creative thing and think, there I am. Movement comes first, clarity second. So instead of asking, what's my master plan for 2026? Try asking, what is one small self-trusting decision I can make today, or maybe even this week? Use the decision-making tool we just learned, those 4 questions. Does my body get a little softer when I think about this? Does my intuition nod along in agreement, even just a little bit? Or will this teach me I can trust myself to show up for me? Is this the smallest, kindest version of this action I can start with? If yes, that's your next step. Not a new you, a truer you, but in motion. But I want to leave you with this. You don't need a more disciplined you. You don't need a shinier, more impressive you. You need a you who feels safe trusting herself. Because when a woman trusts herself, her decisions get cleaner, her boundaries get clearer, and her relationships get more honest. And her life starts to feel like it actually belongs to her. So for 2026, here's the only rule I want you to remember. If it costs you self-trust, it costs too much. If a resolution, a plan, an opportunity, a relationship, if any of that requires you to betray your body, override your intuition, abandon your needs, or lie to yourself about what's true, it's too expensive. You're allowed to say no to anything that costs you your relationship with you. And if you're wondering, okay, I'm in, but where do I actually start? I've got 3 simple support items for you. First, the 5-minute midlife confidence quiz. If you want to understand where you currently are on your personal self-trust and reinvention journey, start here. The 5-minute midlife confidence quiz helps you see your current phase, so you're not just vaguely inspired, but you actually have language for where you are. You're going to find out whether you're currently the awakening woman, the inner critic warrior, the intuitive seeker, the embodied confidence woman, or the reinvention ready woman. And you're going to get a personalized confidence plan with some specific ideas and next steps that support your self-trust instead of draining it. Next is the intuitive pivot planner. If you're ready to stop waiting for the new you and start making tiny real-world shifts, the Intuitive Pivot Planner is your definite next step. It's a simple guided tool that helps you get honest about what's actually keeping you stuck, helps you hear what your intuition is actually telling you, and helps you choose your next tiny self-trusting decision instead of another overwhelming overhaul. Think of it as a way to practice the clarity comes from movement principle in your real life. And finally, if you're ready for a quick start, try the Unwaiting Quick Start Guide. If you're ready to go deeper and create some real lasting momentum, the Unwaiting Quick Start Guide takes these ideas and walks you through a focused jumpstart you can complete in one day. It's designed to help you identify where you've been waiting on permission, readiness, or perfection. It helps you map out a few key areas where you're ready to stop postponing your life. And it's going to show you how to take aligned, doable action that builds, not drains your self-trust. This is really the bridge between I love this idea and I'm actually living it. You can find all three in the show notes below or on my website, hollytoscanini.com. Now, if this episode resonated with you, please share it with a friend who keeps starting over every January and needs to hear that she doesn't need a new her, just a more trusted her. Or screenshot any line that hit you the hardest and tag me so I can cheer you on. Or maybe write this somewhere where you will see it. If it costs me self-trust, it costs too much. You don't have to wait for readiness. You don't have to wait for perfect conditions. And you don't have to wait for a new you. You can start exactly as you are with one small self-trusting decision. Until next time, trust yourself. Choose movement over perfection, and remember, there is nothing left to wait for. Until next time, bye for now.
Thank you for tuning in to How to Lose the Weight. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe so you never miss a conversation. And if you found value in this episode, I'd love it if you could leave a review. It really helps the show reach more women like you who are ready to step into their power. For more insights and inspiration, follow me on Instagram at Holly Toscanini or visit hollytoscanini.com. Until next time, remember, stop waiting and start living.